Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things dog pound. Browns 3D, brought to you now on the OBR. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate all of you. You guys have been coming out in droves, reading the written work. Certainly be coming out every night here, checking out the OBR channel for the content that we're putting out on a nightly basis. Great to be here with these guys. Great to continue to put out content. And the results are showing. Obviously, you guys are very pleased with what we're doing. The subscriptions are up. So, look, we appreciate you. And look, it's only going to get better. You know, a lot of, at this point in time, is kind of just speculation about things the Browns can do. We'll get closer, certainly, when we start to know the names that will be available, certainly through free agency, through trade, as we get through our draft work, and we'll get to this in segment 3. The All-Star games are going to work out really well for the Cleveland Browns, as they'll have a lot of representation at both the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl. But again, thank you to everybody. Make sure, if you are not, you pick up that insider subscription. A lot of great info there for you guys and gals who just thirst and want more Cleveland Browns coverage. We're going to certainly talk about the quarterbacks here today that could be available to the Cleveland Browns, because it's getting rough already, guys. Look, and I'm going to be completely and utterly honest with you. This is an absolutely terrible year to have to go and redo your quarterback room. It's an absolutely terrible year. So every time that we cover a quarterback, whether it is somebody that could be available in free agency, or it could be somebody available through the draft, I don't want to hear how they all stink. They got to field a quarterback room next year, guys. The Browns somehow, some way, are going to bring in 3 quarterbacks minimum this offseason. Whether it is through free agency, whether it is through a trade, or whether it is through the draft. You just guys got to get over it. For some of you who've ever purchased a home, or somebody that's going to be about to, you see how crazy the prices are. Do you have the money to buy the ready-to-go house? Or do you buy the fixer-upper, where you're knocking out sheetrock and basically recreating the inside of the house from the ground up, or the outside of the house from the ground up? Are you buying the one where the builder didn't finish, which would be a rookie quarterback, and it's got warts, and it needs refinement, and it needs work, and it needs time? This is legitimately where the Browns are at right now. So you got everybody, you get upset with every name that is mentioned. You guys, well, he stinks, he's terrible. I get it. And looking at these names, that'll be possible free agents. Nobody's going to be trading any quarterback worth a grain of salt. Nobody in the draft is the surest of sure things. It's not like last season, of course. Now, you guys, I guess it was brought up today, Jason Lloyd, when it was Andrew Berry, the 1 year he wasn't with the Browns in 2019 when he was with the Eagles. I guess, Eagles had asked Andrew to, do some due diligence on Deshaun Watson. He did. And they, put together his tape, and he did his study, did his report. Of course, as you all know, in 2020, became general manager of the Cleveland Browns. After 21, Deshaun Watson, after not playing all of 2020, certainly, once, I guess, legally cleared, and, everyone realized that he was not going to be facing any charges, just, civil allegations that he had to settle, became the ramp up to Deshaun Watson. And the way the story was told from Jason Lloyd was that even though Andrew Berry had a ton of interest, he felt it was going to get to a point where monetarily the Cleveland Browns weren't going to be able to commit. But when you have a billionaire owner, and this is one thing I talk about with the Browns, when the Browns kind of get into a negotiation, they usually get it on their terms, and they usually win. So basically, as Andrew was telling ownership, I just don't think we're going to be able to get this done. Jimmy Haslam said, no, we're in this. A quarterback like this usually is never available. They viewed it as a lottery ticket, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That, and once in maybe a regime, certainly opportunity, many regimes, opportunity. So they went all the way in. And as you all know, it went about as badly as possibly can go. This is why you are where you were at. And look, last year, it would have gone a lot better. Certainly, the Browns held the number 2 pick. Could have fell in love with your quarterback. Could have had Jaylen Daniels. Could have traded down, had any one of the other quarterbacks. It's not the case this year. Now, you look at what is available. And obviously, first and top, Sam Darnold in some fashion, some form should be available. Now, do you look at Sam Darnold and say, if the Browns get him, and I don't want to hear finances, the Browns can sign Sam Darnold and can bring him in if that's what they want to do. They will make the money work. I don't ever have a concern about the Cleveland Browns and making money work. Could he take the Browns to the playoffs next year? Sure he could. Absolutely. He took Minnesota, who was a poor team last year, to the playoffs this year. Next year will be his year 28 season. Only 27 and a half years old, I believe, right now, a little over 27 and a half years old. You don't have Justin Jefferson. You don't have, maybe you'd say Jerry Jeudy is Jordan Addison. But, you don't have that top of the league, best of the best wide receiver. You're also taking him and putting him exclusively outside to play Sam Darnold. And if you're committing to Sam Darnold, you can still draft a quarterback. There's no question about that. But maybe the quarterback you're not drafting with the eyes of making a starter. But of what's available in free agency, Sam Darnold is one of one. One of one. And even for Sam Darnold being one of one, you saw it fall apart for Sam Darnold really bad in Detroit. Just couldn't get anything right in the red zone. Against the Rams, he was just sacked so many times, it just got in his head. Now, you look what else is there. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. Don't get me wrong, I'd like to mess around with Trey Lance, but, with all options of making him quarterback 3. Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota. Nah, all good, right? Drew Luck, anybody good there? Jared Stidham. Stop me. Justin Fields, I do have a lot of interest in Justin Fields. He could be that bridge quarterback. He could. There is the possibility, though, that Pittsburgh is realizing the wrong and may have interest in making him their guy. Do you want to bring back Jameis? Better offensive line, better running game, healthier team, see what Jameis can do before you may make a change. Certainly a possibility. Mac Jones. See, this is where we're going, guys. This is literally where we are going. Jimmy G. Nah, that doesn't do it for anybody either, right? Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, how many games can he give you? So basically you would, be setting it up to move on. So that's why when I bring up a name like Daniel Jones, the feedback I'm getting from all of you, look, I get it. But if you were looking for maybe somebody who's got a year in him, could maybe give you some things, it could be Daniel Jones. I'm not here championing for it, but when it is not a great litter, you kind of got to sift through it and find what you think may be the best of a weak group. Say what you want. And look, there's a lot more bad of Daniel Jones than there probably is good. Did take the New York Giants to a playoff. Put together great weeks to close that out and get into the playoffs. He's got a good arm. Inaccurate, a little nuke-la-loosh, but he's got a good arm. He's athletic, runs well, things, that do have some appeal. So if you can't get a Sam Darnold and you need a guy that can come in and at least has been a QB1 and basically saying it's open competition, maybe we'll let Daniel Jones be our starter, but if it's not working, it's just not working. Again, guys, it is not a great group of quarterbacks. This is what I continue to say. And, so when you try to find, and again, the Browns are going to bring in 3. So when you find, or when we hear the moves they have made, I'm not going to be stunned that people won't be excited. I get it. I'm not excited about this group. Nobody's excited about this group, whether it's the free agent class or whether it is certainly the draft class. Kirk Cousins, I look at Kirk Cousins as a real similar situation as Russell Wilson this year with Pittsburgh. Can he get better a year out from the Achilles? Maybe so. But, most of anything that you heard from Atlanta or, talking to Atlanta people, they pulled him for Michael Penix because they just felt at the point at that time Michael Penix was just better. He would be going from playing in the South in a dome to playing in the AFC North outside. Similar to the Russell Wilson situation last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you don't know how many games he's going to give you. And the Steelers didn't think he was going to be able to give him a full season. They thought they had bided their time and inserted him to play at the correct time. Obviously, it fell apart as it got closer to money time, and Pittsburgh just lost 5 straight games to close out the season, and Russell Wilson had nothing left. That's, of course, if you can get yourself into contention next year. But we'll continue, and we're going to talk some rookie quarterbacks that will be in the 2025 draft. But again, you're talking fixer-uppers, or you're talking stuff that's just not complete yet. Now, if you're asking me about the 2025 draft class, Cam Ward, in my opinion, I think Cam Ward, and looking where he succeeds, his throwing ability, the throws he looks really good on, I think those throws kind of fit a lot of what we hope to be the successful part of Coach Stefanski's offense. Digs, long routes. I think he's better on the shorter routes than maybe he's given credit for. His nonchalantness sometimes can kind of bite him a little bit. That's something that would certainly have to be coached up a little bit. He can move. He's not slow by any means. I wouldn't say he's quick by any means. He's not a Jameis Winston. But he also, running is not going to be the calling card for Cam Ward. Again, now my belief with Cam Ward is, I'm not sure. And if I think he's the best in this class, I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans, and I know they certainly have a big, big hole at the quarterback position. Am I thinking that there's a chance that Cam Ward doesn't go 1? If he doesn't go 1, that might not be the worst thing in the world for the Cleveland Browns. Because if you're telling me I got to stay at 2 and take Cam Ward, if that's who they like and that's their guy, that's a good situation for them. I'm not sure they're going to have, high enough faith to draft either one of these guys. But again, Andrew Barry and I share a birthday, but we don't share a brain. Now, Shedeur Sanders, the thing with Shedeur Sanders, it's the pocket presence, and it's the amount of sacks he took. He's got like over a negative 140, it might be more rushing yards. So, and the way it works in college, quarterbacks rushing yards, the sacks are put into that, unlike the NFL. It's a stupid rule and it makes no sense. Sure. So it's, not that crazy or that uncommon to see, low rushing numbers for a quarterback in college. When you see it as a negative and a large negative number, it tells you he's taken a ton of sacks. There are a lot of people that'll tell you that Colorado did not have the greatest offensive line. That's true. It absolutely is. And, when he gets in the NFL, he'll have a better offensive line than he did in Colorado. It's true. It is. But in the NFL, there's also going to be a lot better pass rushing presence and defensive line presence than the defensive lines he faced in the Big 12. So as much as you want to say, oh, we'll have a better offensive line, that's great. But he's also going to be going against better competition, and he shows a tendency to hold on to the ball too long or eating the ball. And we all know we had our issues with Deshaun Watson here in 2024 for taking too many sacks, not getting rid of the ball. Critical sacks. 4th down. Game on the line against the Raiders in Vegas. You all remember that one, right? So that is one of my criticisms with Shai Sanders. And there is not much athleticism. He will, he's not going to do much with his legs in the NFL. I like that he is Deion Sanders' son because I think nothing will be too big. I think Shai Sanders has probably played football his entire life. And, the feedback he takes is from his father. And, drafting one of the greatest players who was ever part of the NFL, which I consider Deion Sanders in that regard. Trying to please Deion Sanders probably isn't an easy task by any means whatsoever. So I think wherever Shai goes, I think mentally, his mental makeup, I think he's absolutely ready. Question is he somewhere playing with his father? Is he, separated from his father? Shai Sanders plays like that dude. But just because he's Shai Sanders and he's Deion Sanders' son doesn't mean he's not going to walk into an NFL locker room and going to have to be a rookie quarterback and show up with donuts to meetings for his offensive linemen and, have the guys over for dinner and break down some film and break down this week's opponent and look at maybe some things they could have improved upon last week on their own. These are all things that you would expect from your franchise quarterback. These are things he will have to do in the NFL. Jaylen Milo already started basically this week trending towards a more interesting Cleveland Browns target. 3 years down at Alabama, different offense coordinator each and every year. His best year certainly was 2023 with now Cleveland Browns offense coordinator Tommy Rees. That was certainly the best year for Jaylen Milo. 6'2", 220 and change. I guess it's a compliment to his overall athleticism that people say play him at wide receiver, put him at running back, blah, 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 blah. Just one pet peeve. Anybody that looks at a quarterback and just says, go play wide receiver. Well, I was a wide receiver. Played in college. That pisses me off. I got to be honest. It really does. Because you just think anybody can go out there and just go start playing wide receiver. Aggravates the living daylights out of me. Enough said, rant over. But certainly with the Tommy Rees presence, you think Tommy Rees, Jaylen Milo, the Browns will have all the information they would need right then and there. Now, not only that, Bubba Ventrone is going to be the head coach for one of the teams down at the Senior Bowl. Jaylen Milo will be one of the 3 quarterbacks for Bubba Ventrone at the Senior Bowl. So the Browns already have inside information, certainly, from Tommy Rees. Now they can kind of double down on that by having a week of Bubba Ventrone with Jaylen Milo, taking him through practices, certainly, hands-on in everything, it's so if Jaylen Milo is somebody they have interest in, it has a chance to go well here. So we will see how that kind of works out for them. Certainly, when everything gets kicked off down in Mobile. Quinn Ewers is now in the draft. I don't know. I mean, saying that he turned down $8 million in NIL. First off, I don't know how the number was that high. I have a hard time believing it. I really do. So if he did turn down $8 million, oof, man, that's a tough call right there. I'm just not a fan. I like Steve Sarkisian. I think he's a great collegiate coach, but I think Steve Sarkisian is also a great schemer and a great play caller, and he has just a nice system overall. that I think he really sets up his quarterbacks in a great way to be successful. Jackson Dart, I like him. I do. Gets in his own head sometimes. I just think there's a lot of tools there. I don't think his throwing ability is there. I think, he's not a day one starter by any means whatsoever. Is he a rookie starter? Probably not. And that's the problem. And one of the biggest issues we have with quarterbacks going from college to the NFL these days is they are just not given the time if they are not ready. And look, most of the time, if you're not ready, you're never going to be. I kind of get that. But the system is different these days in college football. A lot of these quarterbacks have, been at their university and stayed there. But with all the transferring and all the coaching changes, it's not helping the development of the quarterback position. So, not that, I care. I want these kids to get every dime they deserve. But it's certainly not helping the advancement and the abilities of the quarterback position in the NFL. Will Howard, can continue to pad his own personal resume, in the national championship game. Still don't know where that, parlays for him into the NFL. Curtis Rourke, old to begin with, blown ACL. So that means he'll be another year older by the time he's actually able to play for you in the NFL. No, thanks. I've spoken about Kyle McCord. I've told you I'm probably going to be alone on that island. I'm fine. One other name that I do find interesting, that would definitely be a day 3 guy. We talk a lot about, and I already have, on Devin Neal from Kansas, just like a meat and potatoes, no nonsense running back, just a guy that straight up gets things done. That's the kind of player I think Devin Neal is. Jaylen Daniels at Kansas. Now, this is one of those where, hey, gets to the league. Can his game take a step up with the talent stepping up? Don't know. This would maybe be a scenario where the Browns, sign one quarterback. Heck, you got to draft two. You have extra draft picks. You have a lot of draft picks. You want to draft 2 quarterbacks and see what happens. Go nuts. I don't have an issue with it. So Jaylen Daniels runs well, has some arm talent, may not have elite arm strength. But again, guys, this is what we're talking about. These are the guys we are talking about. It's not like, when you hear people in the store and they grab a sales rep or well, do you have anything in the back? There ain't anything in the back, guys. We've talked about the quarterbacks that are available. This is it. This is them. So yes, it ain't the best year. I 100% get that. But either way, the Browns got to bring in 3 of them. Jeff Lloyd, Browns 3D here on the OBR. We appreciate all of you. Make sure, you continue to sub to the YouTube channel. Make sure, of course, you, if you're not get that insider subscription, certainly pick it up over at the OBR. You'll get to hear some of the great information firsthand that's shared with all of us. We're all good. We don't spoil anything, certainly. But whether it's Lane, certainly whether it's Brad, there's some great information coming, through the OBR. And if you want to be the cool kid amongst your friends, maybe go ahead and get that subscription so you can start reeling some of that information to your friends. Now, I did speak on this. Now, Bubba Ventrone will be the head coach of one of the teams down at the All-Star game. On the opposite team, Browns defensive line coach Jacques Cesaire will be the defensive coordinator. So this is working out beautifully, really, really beautifully, in my opinion, for the Browns. I get it. You guys, some of you are just so aggravated. You don't want to see any, rose-colored glasses. You don't want to see any positives. That's fine. It is what it is. But the Browns are going to have somebody in lockstep with both teams at the Senior Bowl. So they are going to get a lot of firsthand knowledge. They are going to be able to report back to everybody in Berea or anybody who's there and get all of this information out. What did we think of this kid? What's the work ethic like? And the biggest thing that comes from a week like the Senior Bowl is guys in the first practice or 2, and then they go back and the film is watched and digested, and now they're talking with NFL coaches and saying, yeah, that might have worked in college. That ain't going to work in the NFL. And when you talk to people, and I know Pete and I have had these conversations, Pete Smith's gone to a bunch of Senior Bowls over the years. You want to see that guy the next practice, the next day. How is he taking the coaching and being worked with by guys now in the league? And can he apply it? How quickly is he to apply it? Do you just go out there and, I was a two-time all-conference, and, do you, because that is a big thing that comes out of the Senior Bowl is, first off, you went to the Senior Bowl, you were chosen to go to the All-Star game. You weren't basically cemented and know already from your agency and everybody that you're a top 5, top 10 selection, and you didn't need to go this process. So your game needs work already. But do you take that criticism? Do you take that coaching? Do you take that feedback and go out there and apply it? Because if you don't, that's one of the first things where teams start saying, don't know about that kid. Because maybe he thinks he knows it all himself. So having guys on both sides, and I love the fact that Jacques Cesaire is certainly going to be, working with the defense. Bubba, and it does seem weird that Bubba kind of got this, after the year the Browns special teams had, that Bubba got this opportunity. I'm sure that's one thing the Browns right now are probably really thankful for, so he can be everywhere. I hope Bubba's not going to spend his time just working with special teams. Please, Bubba, while you're down there, can you get your nose in the offensive side, get your nose in the defensive side? And Jacques Cesaire, look, we've talked about it. Browns need cornerback help. Browns need safety help. Browns, we're not going to get an answer anytime soon on JOK. We're not going to know anything before the Senior Bowl. So, we need linebacker help. Always need defensive line help. Always need defensive line help. Plus, he's going to watch his defensive guys go against the offensive side. So, he's going to get a good read on, who's giving his boys a hard time. So I really think this is a huge, huge opportunity for the Cleveland Browns. And I remember I actually texted somebody because I forgot how they did the coaching staffs now, because I was like, well, wait a minute, shouldn't the Browns be in on this? And then I forgot that they kind of, gave it the opportunity, for some guys to just further their own progression through the coaching ranks. But for the Browns, it worked out perfectly. They'll also have somebody out, at Shrine Bowl as well. And Shrine Bowl, used to be, the lesser all-star game. My man, Eric Galco, fantastic guy. I've known and talked ball with Eric probably for a decade now. I definitely, sat in a pro day or two with Eric Galco back in the day. He is doing an amazing job with the Shrine Bowl. An incredible job with the Shrine Bowl. Got a lot of big names headed to, the Shrine Bowl this year. And that game continues to grow in its capacity and grow in its importance to the draft process. So you're going to get, obviously the Browns will have somebody out there as well. And I had talked about this because before this news had broke that the Browns were really, really going to have to work this year. They didn't have to as much in past years. Didn't have a lot of high picks. This year you got a boatload of picks. You hold the number 2 overall pick. You hold number 33 overall, which is always a very important pick the first night of day 2, because you're going to have teams calling you all day and night once round 1 closes. A, trying to get you to give up what you're taking or what you're looking at, or B, trying to take your damn pick. So 33 is a very, very important pick in my opinion. So I'm happy that the news broke the way it did on these all-star games, and the Browns will have a lot of representation, not just there, hands-on, which it's vital. The Browns, look, this draft has to be an absolute, they have to crush it. They absolutely have to crush this draft. Part of it, it's not that the Browns have financial issues, but there's a chance for the Cleveland Browns to get this roster a lot younger and a lot cheaper. And that's never a bad thing. It's not. And certainly could help with any maneuverability that they're going to have in years down the road. So if they can go into this and get 5, 6, 7 players that can make the 53-man roster, that's a huge, huge thing for them. They've always found a way for their rookies to stick around, but this year it could be more impactful due to the fact that they are back in the first round. due to the fact that their second round pick is at 33. Could shop number 2 get even, you want to bang on those top 100s. The top 100 picks is where you should make your money. Day 3 is what basically puts the cherry on top. Right now, you got 4 in that top 100. Cannot miss on any damn one of them. All eyes on Cleveland will be following us here today. I'm going to jump in for a little bit in the beginning with Brad. Hey, we got a good thing going here. We got a great group of people talking ball. Somebody, I think it was Casey, needed to step out tonight. Brad's already been a great guy to me here. We're kind of working hand in hand here. Brad is a huge, huge part of, the video, work here and the stuff that is put out. So certainly been a big asset to me here as we try to add more and more content to this channel on a nightly basis and do it all for you guys, man. You guys just continue to show us the love. You come out. I mean, Barry puts up the numbers every morning about the written word. I know I'm chasing what's going on with the channels as far as subscribers and listenership. And you guys have been really, really good to us. And we're just going to continue to give it right back to you. You guys are good to us. We're going to be really, really good to you. We couldn't be more thankful. I used to say all the time at my previous place, none of this happens without you. You all don't come out. Ain't nobody going to be putting out the content. You guys are here for us. We're going to bust our asses to be here for you. We appreciate you all. Make sure, certainly, you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Certainly, again, if you need and you haven't yet, go get that insider package for yourself. Again, look like the smartest guy on the block with all you Cleveland Browns fans. I'll join All Eyes in Cleveland for a little bit tonight with Mr. Brad Ward. We're going to continue to pound it out here during the week. Getting close to the weekend here. Certainly AFC semifinals, NFC semifinals. Monday night, Ohio State, Notre Dame for it all. Should be a great one. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. Browns 3D on the OBR. Talk to everybody tomorrow.